course, one of the most important aspects about non-caloric sweeteners is that they do not affect blood glucose levels, as do some of the caloric sweeteners, sucrose and so on. So that is, of course, why they are very important for management of diabetes. They are also low in calories, and they achieve this function of being low in calories through two different ways. One, as I will show you for each of the different sweetener I'm going to talk about, they are much sweeter than sugar. So although they may gram for gram contain the same number of calories, we use so much less that the calories become very insignificant. The other approach, and what you'll see for some of the sweeteners, is that we do not absorb them. So because they do not even enter our body, we cannot obtain any calories from them. The last sweetener I want to talk about in terms of how the body uses it is the stevia extracts. These have been, are new into the marketplace. There's a fair bit of interest in them because they are from a natural source, and that is very appealing to many people. They are purified from the leaves of a South American shrub called Stevia rubiana. I don't know if I pronounced that with the right accent for here. The sweetness in this plant comes from some very complex molecules. And when you look at them and think, how does that, compared to sugar, how does that interact with our taste receptors and actually cause sweetness, is quite interesting. For food additives, this is done through very extensive studies. It is required that at least 3 different species are tested. Usually it's the rat, the mouse, sometimes the dog, sometimes a rabbit, sometimes a hamster, at least 3 species. So we really understand how a body, a mammal, is going to use it. There's often criticism over the fact that, well, we use such high doses in these studies that it's not really realistic. That is absolutely true. It is not realistic. And the reason that we use those high doses is to increase the probability that we are going to be able to detect any adverse effect. Because if you have it at just a low level, you're going to have to test so many animals in order to be able to detect an effect. So we have it very high to be able to understand, is there going to be any effect? Then we use mid and lower levels to really establish, okay, at what dose is that effect not going to happen? And that's going to be our safe dose. So for ACE-K, the ADI is upwards to 15 milligrams per kilogram body weight. So this was set, of course, initially by ensuring the amount added to foods would not exceed that. But there is subsequently continual review of the marketplace to ensure that in different countries, different uses, we are not exceeding that acceptable daily intake. So you can see that it's studied in Australia, Canada, France, many different countries, and consistently we are using a very small amount of acesulfame K compared to the acceptable daily intake, and there is no report that users are exceeding that level. Even the high users, the diabetics, the ones that are using these all the time, those are the ones we are most interested in. So aspartame, of course, is widely used. It has an acceptable daily intake upwards of 40 milligrams. It is probably one of the most widely studied in terms of consumption, and it is one where we do have a survey from South America. And again, the levels are quite low, upwards on average around 4 to 5 milligrams, or about 10% of the acceptable daily intake. Those highest users, not even half of the daily intake. So same story. For the stevia extracts, the acceptable daily intake is based on that backbone steviol equivalent, because that is going to change a little bit for each of the different steviosides. What is critical for you to know is that it is only the stevia glycoside purified preparations that have been internationally accepted, because the safety that is supporting the use of these is based on the purified forms. Sucralose, again, we use so little that the very little use, we use so little because it's so sweet, and again, no report of users exceeding it. So just kind of to look at, people say, well, how much can I eat? You know, how many packets? And when we look at how much of these sweeteners are typically used in either the packet that we add to our coffee or to a beverage that we find on the marketplace, you can see that the number of servings, you need to use 80 of those packets in your coffee in order to exceed that daily intake. So it's really no surprise that we have people, not many people, well, nobody is consuming that amount.